Hello and welcome to Mastering in the Box. In today's video I'm going to show you two ways in which I love using dynamic EQ. Hi folks, Smudge here and welcome to Mastering in the Box. In today's video I want to show you two ways in which I love using a dynamic EQ. Dynamic EQ is very fast becoming my favourite tool for mastering, and I love using dynamic EQ, so I hope you find this useful. If you're new to the channel and you want to know more about digital mastering, then make sure you hit that subscribe button below, make sure you tick that bell and select all to receive notifications on all of our videos moving forward. And if you want to know more about my mixing and mastering critiquing service, there will also be links in the description down below of where you can find more details through fiverr.com. So let's get into today's video. So dynamic EQ, and in this particular video I'm using the TDR Nova by Tokyo Dawn Labs. This particular edition is the standard edition and it is free. There'll be links in the description down below. They do a gentleman's edition which is obviously got more features. It is very reasonably priced, so check them out. There'll be links in the description down below. TDR Nova by Tokyo Dawn Labs. So what is a dynamic EQ? Well, a dynamic EQ from the outset looks very much more like a standard EQ. So you would set your bell curve, whether you're doing a boost or a cut, or you can use a high cut or a filter, and effectively you can set your frequency. You can then adjust your cues as to how wide you want the EQ cut, and then you can either boost or cut depending on what you are trying to achieve. So as we can see in this example here, the frequency is at 4.9k and it's a 1.8 dB cut with a relatively modest cue. But a dynamic EQ differs in that rather than applying a static EQ cut or boost, it actually applies dynamic range compression. So if I then click in the threshold here, you can see we've got a compression curve. So what this allows us to do is, rather than being a finite static EQ cut, it starts to apply a dynamic range compression which moves based on the frequency and how much frequency is built up in that particular area. And this can lead to a much more natural and organic feel. It's much more, for me, it's much more subtle, but it feels more natural. Rather than having a finite EQ cut, a dynamic EQ can just add that mere subtlety, take out those problem frequencies and just make everything sound a bit more natural. So here's a song that I've mastered recently. Let's take a brief listen and then we'll come back and then we'll highlight two areas that I want to focus on. So the first thing that I want to tackle is that high pitched note, and as I say, it's around 5k. So I've set the EQ curve to 4.9k, and if I put this into band solo mode, and let's take another listen to the track. So it's that high pitch, and it sounds good within the context of the song, but sometimes it can be a little bit piercing. So if we now take it out of band solo mode and then apply the threshold, and what I've just done is I've applied a 2:1 ratio, and it's at a threshold of -8 dB just to get a little bit of gain reduction. And when it's plugged in, you'll see the gain reduction here, and you'll also see the gain reduction here on the gain button as well. So let's take another listen with the dynamic EQ engaged. So it really moves with the song, and as the frequencies build up, it's not quite so harsh. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it back a little bit. Let's play the track again, and I'm just going to bypass the compression side of things, so you can take a listen before and after. It is very subtle, but hopefully you can kind of get an idea as to what the dynamic EQ is doing. And the last thing I want to do is just show you here this gain reduction delta. And the way this delta function works is it's just going to allow you to hear and monitor the frequencies that are being compressed. So let's go back, let's take another listen. We'll apply the delta function and you can hear what's being compressed in this particular example. So it's just a really nice natural way to allow some cuts in the frequency using compression that's not too drastic. I mean, the thing with multiband compression, I liken it to an alternative to multiband compression, but still with a multiband compressor, even though you've got a band, it is going to compress quite a wide frequency, and this just gives you a little bit more control with those frequencies that you want to apply some dynamic range compression to. Now the next thing that I want to focus on is just giving some more body and weight to the low end. So I'm going to play another little bit of the track here and just focus on the low end for me. So the kick it's got nice and punch and it's nice and rounded, but I just feel it's losing some of that low end warmth, and this is another area where a dynamic EQ can come in really well. So if I then engage the EQ2, and what we got here is we've got a slight boost, 143 Hz. It's 3 dB. Once again, a relatively wide Q. And let's take another listen now with this EQ engaged. So it's doing a little bit of the adding some warmth, but it's not really achieving what I want it to achieve. So now let's take another listen with the threshold engaged. So it's just a really great way to add some more depth and some more body to the low end. As I say, getting some nice punch from the kick, but it's just rounding out some more of those lower frequencies, so around 143 Hz, just to give the whole track some more body. So it's just two simple ways in which you can use a dynamic EQ. So let's just play some of the track again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass the plugin and then we'll engage it and you can listen for the before and after. As we can see, just by using those two moves there, we can take out some of the harshness from the high end and give some more body and weight to the low end. So that's it for this week's video. Bit of a short one, but Dynamic EQ is such a versatile plugin. It's a great tool to use for mastering, and as I say, it's just an alternative for me. I love it because it's more natural, it feels more organic, it doesn't feel so, I don't want to say necessarily quite restricted, but it's not so static. It moves with the frequency of the song and it moves with the energy of the song, which is why I really love it. So I hope you found this useful. Links in the description down below where you can find the plugin. It's the TDR Nova by Tokyo Dawn Labs, and check it out, it is a great plugin. If you want to know more about digital mastering, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and make sure you tip that bell and select all to receive notifications on all of our videos moving forward. And if you do want to know more about the mixing and mastering critiquing services, there'll be links in the description where you can find the details through fiverr.com. So all that's left for me to say is I hope you'll keep safe and well, and I'll see you in the next video coming real soon.